The standard and recurring entry features in Sage Mass 90 and Mass 200 help you reduce keystrokes on frequently used General Ledger journal entries. In this tutorial, we'll show you how to set up and use standard and recurring entries. Standard entries save the detail line information but not the amounts and are useful for entries where the accounts are the same but the amounts are different. Recurring entries are used when the accounts and the amounts remain the same for each entry. So let's jump right in and get started, and we'll first take a look at standard entries by going over to the Task menu tree and clicking General Ledger, Main, General Journal Entry. First, we'll set up our standard entry. Using the lookup, we'll select the JE source journal for our example, and for the entry number field, we'll click the Next Number button for the next sequential journal number. At this point, our posting date is irrelevant because we're only setting up the template. We'll enter Outsourced Payroll as our journal comment, and then click over to the Lines tab to enter the detail line information. For our example, we'll enter 3 lines starting with 1010200 for cash and bank payroll. And since this is a template, we won't enter any amounts. Next, we'll enter account number 2250200 for the federal taxes withheld, and on the third line, we'll enter account 4500400 for the serviceman payroll expense. Now that our template is complete, we'll click the Save Standard button and name our standard entry PR and type payroll as the description. And note that you have the option to save comments on the Header and Lines tabs, and we'll leave it checked to enable this feature. And now we'll hit Accept. At this time, we'll cancel our journal entry and close the journal entry screen because we are only setting up the template. Now let's go back to General Journal Entry, and here you can view a listing of your standard journal entries by clicking the standard listing in the upper right-hand corner. From here, you can print or preview the listing. Now let's try out the standard journal that we just created. To do this, we'll open the General Journal Entry form and enter our source journal of JE and select the next number. We'll enter a posting date of 6/30/2010, and we'll close the future period message and click Copy From. Standard journal is what we want, so we'll click OK, and this provides us a list of all of our standard journals. Let's select the PR standard journal and notice that the journal comments have defaulted from our template. And moving to the Lines tab, you can see that the detail lines from our template have been inserted automatically. Here we'll enter a credit of $400 for the cash account, $100 credit for the federal taxes withheld account, and a $500 debit for the serviceman payroll expense. Now we'll accept the entry, and you can print the general journal and do your update as normal. Now let's take a look at how to set up recurring entries. We'll start by going to Recurring Journal Entry. Using the lookup, we'll select DE for depreciation, and we'll enter a reference code of DEPR. And moving down to the Select Cycle field on the Header tab, this is an optional field that you can define for use in the selection process when generating entries. Let's enter the letter M for monthly. The start and end dates are used to restrict the time period for this journal to be active. We'll start the entry on 1/1/2010 and stop the entry on 12/31/2010. And for a journal comment, let's enter monthly depreciation. Now let's move to the Lines tab to enter the details. On the first line, let's enter account number 1600100 with a credit of $250. Next, we'll enter account 5200003 with a debit of $175. And finally, account 7200004 with a debit of $75. And now let's hit Accept. Now we need to schedule and generate the recurring journal entries. To do this, we'll select Recurring Journal, and we'll start by entering the posting date, which for our example will be 5/31/2010. Now let's click the Preview button, which opens the recurring journal selection screen. We'll set cycle equal to M so that we only select the monthly recurring journal entries. And now we'll hit proceed and the recurring journal is displayed. After reviewing the journal, you can close the screen and hit update, and that completes the steps required to set up a recurring journal entry. So to recap, the standard and recurring journal entry features within SageMask 90 and SageMask 200 will reduce keystrokes and save time when entering frequently used journal entries. Give us a call for assistance with this or any other feature in your SageMask 90 or SageMask 200 system. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Bye for now.